You didn't share your location, but your weather app did. So did your step counter. Oh, and that game you forgot you downloaded? It did that too. Each one pinged your GPS, sometimes every few seconds. That data gets packaged, sold, and resold. Advertisers use it to serve you ads. But what about foreign governments? Well, they use it to help map military bases, track defense workers, profile officials. Your location trail doesn't need your name. It knows your habits, and that's all it takes to turn everyday data into a national security risk. So let's dive into it. Your data, right now. Welcome to this week's brief from Midweek Sitrep. Quick intel drops to keep you sharp, situationally aware, and one step ahead. I'm Jerry Fowler, and I'm your host. This is the third and last brief in our series on surveillance and space warfare. This week, location data is now a national security issue. We're connecting the dots between a sweeping DOJ rule, real-world privacy risks, and how your phone's GPS became an intelligence tool. Now, this week's brief ties in two earlier Midweek Sitrep episodes. Episode 14, where we showed how apps like Strava can accidentally expose troop locations, turning personal fitness data into a security risk. And way back when, for episode 2, where we introduced a proposed rule that was going into effect that targeted the transfer of bulk sensitive personal data to foreign adversaries. Now, that rule has entered enforcement. And the message is clear. Location data is no longer just a privacy concern. It's a national security issue. The DOJ's Data Security Program, or DSP, is now in effect. It's one of the most aggressive digital security rules we've seen. Here's what it does. It blocks or restricts the transfer of bulk sensitive data, including location information, to foreign adversaries like China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, and more. It covers geolocation, biometric, health, financial, and other personal data, even if it's anonymized, encrypted, or de-identified. It also applies to U.S. companies, including app developers, brokers, processors, and cloud providers. And it has stiff penalties. Civil fines up to $368,000 per violation. And those criminal penalties, up to 20 years in prison. This isn't just a privacy rule. It's a national security firewall. And location data is front and center. Hey, if you haven't signed up for the Midweek Sitrep Substack, now's the time. It's your direct line to deeper insights, sources, and the stories behind the headlines. Every Friday morning, you'll receive the latest edition conveniently emailed to you. Just head to midweeksitrep.substack.com and sign up for the insider brief. No spam, no fluff, just situational awareness delivered. So why all of this heat over location data? Well, because your location isn't just where you are. It's where you live, where you work, where you go to at 7 a.m. every Tuesday. It reveals your patterns, and that is gold for intelligence services. If you're in the military, it can reveal deployments. If you're a judge, a prosecutor, or a contractor, it can show travel habits. And if you work in national security, it could map your entire routine. Location data is a behavioral fingerprint, and it's been quietly fueling a multi-billion-dollar surveillance economy, one where foreign actors can just buy what they can't hack. All right, so let's talk about some real-world fallout. In July 2025, over a dozen states sued Temu, the Chinese e-commerce app, for allegedly hovering up sensitive user data, including precise location, and sending it overseas. But Temu isn't alone. Apps you trust, fitness, weather, games, may be quietly collecting data that ends up in global markets. Sometimes intentionally, sometimes through brokers. And once it's out of the country, it's out of reach. This is why the DOJ rules matter. It draws a red line. Data can't flow freely when national security is on the line. So if your business collects any kind of user data, especially location data, this rule affects you. Here's what to do. Map your data flows. Know where it comes from and where it goes. Identify all foreign touch points. That includes servers, vendors. Don't forget those subcontractors. And develop a compliance plan now. Don't wait for an audit, or worse, a subpoena. This rule treats sensitive data like controlled technology, and that means you need controls, governance, contracts, oversight. The era of collect it all and figure it out later, yeah, that's over. Hey you want to support the show and look good while doing it? Of course you do. You can now get your official Midweek Sitrep merch at everythingisnationalsecurity.com. Hats, shirts, and gear for the everyday listener who knows everything is national security. Whether you're commuting, at the gym, or breaking down geopolitics over brunch, rep the mission. That's everythingisnationalsecurity.com, where strategy meets style. Now, while this DOJ rule is aimed at businesses and data, there's still stuff here for you, the everyday listener. Here's a few quick tips. Limit location access in your apps, especially the ones that don't need it. Avoid apps from foreign adversary countries when possible. Review your phone's permissions. You'll be surprised what's on by default. And remember, anonymous isn't the same as safe. Because once your location leaves your device, you don't control it anymore. And if the wrong actor picks it up, you're not just a consumer. You're now intelligence. Coming up next week on Midweek Sitrep, we begin a new 3-episode arc on speech, screens, and security, starting with episode 15, The Silent Hand, how the government influences what you see, and you won't want to miss it. We'll see you there. And that's your brief. If this episode got you thinking, don't let the conversation stop here. Head over to the Insider Brief on Substack and subscribe. It's where we dig deeper, answer your questions, and preview what's next. We're also on YouTube, where you'll find short clips, interviews, and bonus content. Make sure to subscribe there if you haven't already. And if you want to support the show and look good while doing it, check out our merch. Every shirt and hat helps keep Midweek Sitrep independent and growing. Subscribe, share, and stay sharp. I'm Jerry Fowler, and remember, everything is national security. See you next time. Midweek Sitrep with Jerry Fowler is an independent production of OPCEN Media Group, LLC. The information provided in this podcast is for general informational purposes only and does not constitute legal, financial, or professional advice. Listeners should consult with a qualified professional before making any decisions based upon the content discussed. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the host, Jerry Fowler, and any guest, and do not reflect the official policy, position, or endorsement of any current or former employer, client, government agency, military organization, educational institution, or any other entity for which the host, Jerry Fowler, may be affiliated. Mention of a company, product, or service does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation. Any references are provided for informational purposes only. This podcast does not disclose any classified, proprietary, or confidential information. All discussions are based upon publicly available information and personal expertise. Everything's national security. OPCEN Media Group, LLC.